Yo, what's good, Tristan? Today, we got a spicy video for you guys. I'm a little bit scared to go into it, to be completely honest with you. But before we do, be sure you check me out. Instagram, TikTok, Patreon. Thank you so much to my patrons for making this video possible. Let's just jump into this one. This is one of the craziest stories that I have come across in a while. And it's crazy because it really hasn't been talked about before. So we're going to jump into this straight away. So back in 2009, Miley Cyrus had a fan website called Mileyworld.com. Mileyworld.com, $30 a year. You get all these behind the scenes things. It's kind of like Patreon today. But in this case, it might have been a little bit scammier. Woo! But anyway, she had this singing competition called Be a Star, Superstar. It was, as far as I can tell, it's a little bit unclear as to what the name of the competition was. And by the way, in this video, I'm going to be talking about Miley Cyrus. But when I say Miley Cyrus, I don't necessarily mean Miley Cyrus. Because back in 2009, Miley Cyrus was a literal teenager. So the extent to which that she's responsible for any of this is super unclear. And it's likely that she had little to nothing to do with it. That being said, Miley Cyrus had this singing competition. Be a Star, Superstar. Let's check it out.
Are you a star? Could you be next? I want you guys to show me how talented you really are by choosing your favorite song and recording
that's
a
Sabrina
video,
Carpenter.
and I'll share it with the whole world.
Isn't that nuts? Sabrina Carpenter was on this. I think that's how she got discovered. I could be wrong, though.
One lucky winner will get to record and release a real album. And guess what? I'm going to be your vocal coach. I can't wait to hear everyone's audition.
That'd be cool,
I'll be checking them out myself. Let's get ready to rock and roll.
Okay, great. Are you Superstar? Mileyworld.com. Pay the simple subscription fee. You get to enter the contest. Here's where it gets a little bit juicy. Oddly enough, somehow it takes between 1 to 2 years for this singing competition to take place, in which singers upload their videos to Mileyworld and other members on Mileyworld vote on who wins. And I think the voting opened up towards the end. The singers were promised, as you just heard, a record deal. They were promised one-on-one vocal coaching with Miley as well. We get to the finale here, okay? Okay.
It's down to 4. The final battle has begun. Now it's up to you, the fans, to decide which
some of these entrants were pretty elaborate.
Superstar. One of these 4 women will have their ultimate dream come true. It's the web television event of the year, and you help decide the winner.
Welcome to Miley Cyrus Superstar. I'm your host, Luke Benward. You're making history by participating in this first-of-its-kind web television event, where you will help decide who will become the next Miley Cyrus Superstar.
Oh!
At stake, the winner will receive a record contract, Miley's vocal coaching, and a chance to make her superstar dreams come true. Miley was only 11 when she dreamed of making it big. Those dreams, along with hard work and dedication, have made her dreams
They're
a reality.
really hyping this competition up, is the point that I'm getting to here.
Congratulate everyone in the
Miley, girl,
Mileyworld.
spit your gum out.
Congratulate everyone in the Mileyworld Are You a Superstar contest. You guys are amazing. Love you guys.
So, we're giving one talented young lady the chance to live her dream. And hundreds of thousands of you have voted on your favorite contestant already.
Hundreds of thousands!
We started with 10,000 entries from all over the world.
10,000! This went on for years, this competition, by the way. They strung it on for 1 to 2 years. Let's pop up the math up here on how much money exactly that would be. Which is fine, girl, make your coin, do your thing. The problem, in my view, in my opinion, allegedly, is that it didn't seem like they actually followed through on what it was that they actually promised to the winner, which just makes, you know, these clips of the contestants talking about how they believe this competition is going to change their lives and, you know, propel them into stardom, just kind of sad to watch.
It's my dream come true, and I hope that I could inspire people to follow their dreams too if mine did come true.
And it opened so many more opportunities for me living in a small town. This doesn't happen often.
I've always wanted to sing and act and dance and perform ever since I was little.
So it turns out the winner was Amy Coalella, or she goes by Amy Maggio on YouTube. And I got a chance to talk to her, which is going to be a little bit later in this video. But it turns out that they didn't actually follow through on a lot of what they promised. And everything that actually happened is just so mind-blowing, especially once you get into the interview and we hear more of the details. But let's quickly check out the podcast that she did so that we could just see some of the basics of it.
Long story short, when I was 15 years old, I started singing on YouTube. So I was a closet singer, is how I call myself. Nobody knew that I sang. And I started recording myself thinking, I wonder how I actually sound. And someone messages me on YouTube and says, hey, there's this Miley Cyrus contest that you should enter. It's on her fan site. So it's called Are You a Superstar? You should enter it. So I said, okay. So then comes another 2 years of a top 50, a top 40, a top 30,
2 years,
a top 20,
dude.
a top 10, a top 8, a top...
That's the interesting thing too about these competitions is it turns out when I was looking into this that allegedly, according to this blog, and this was 2008, and 2008 was not like today where, these sorts of things would be big news all over Twitter. These things were pretty low key, but it was pretty common, supposedly, for these contests to just be a little bit kind of delayed or like extended or held out. And in my opinion, it seems a bit convenient because of how many people were entering, the requirement to be a member in order to vote, and also allegedly it was very difficult to cancel your subscription. So all of these things coupled together is a very profitable business model. That's a bit absurd for a web contest to have it take that long, especially when it's so high budget.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's essentially American Idol Online, submitting all these videos, super stressful, but yeah, I ended up winning. So what ended up happening is the contest took 2 years in total. And then it was another 2 years before they actually sent me a contract and said, hey, we gave you the prize, is what they said, but this is it. This is it.
What did given the prize mean?
They weren't really paying for anything.
Wow.
And then 6 months after that is when they sent a contract and they said, hey, we got you to record 3 of these songs. And that was basically it.
What did the contract you had to sign for? Saying you wrote 3 songs, were they going to pay you? What did that mean?
No, it was
basically, we fulfilled a promise to give you X. And although it was changed, we still gave you something. Is that correct?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is 4 years of your life.
It's 4 years of my life. Parallel that was going on during this contest is my parents were in the middle of separating. So in my mind during this contest, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this means everything for my family. Everything is relying on this. What if I get this and I start making money and I'm a singer and then I can buy their house and do this stuff? And it was almost like this complex of I'm going to save their marriage in the process.
Wow.
Every week they were telling me, hey, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Hey, it's going to happen. We're in contact with Miley's people.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. I'm 18, turning 19. All my friends are going away to school. I didn't take the SATs, I didn't take the ACTs, I didn't take anything to prepare for college because I'm thinking that this is going to happen. During that years of waiting, I had people contacting me, hey, can I be your manager? Hey, I would love to manage you. Hey, I want to work with you. But because of all this stuff with the contest over here, it was a conflict and I couldn't say yes to them because of this all still looming. When everything didn't happen, my dad wanted to sue at one point.
Speaking of lawsuits, it turns out that Mileyworld was actually sued, and they, as far as I'm aware, they settled in court, and they were sued because of, well, allegedly false advertising. The company or the website promised that people would have priority access to tickets, and somehow I suppose the consumers were misled to believe that they would be guaranteed access to the tickets according to the lawsuit. It turns out that didn't happen, and it was a little bit of a mess. The sad thing, and the thing that I feel like relates to this channel, is what this girl went through. And this isn't even like a situation where it's like, oh, she wasn't even that good of a singer, but somehow she won. And so no, she actually was and still is really, really talented. And if you listen to any of the stuff on her channel that she was doing and singing at the time, it's clear that she could have actually been a big name artist, but instead the company strung her along, and it sort of stopped her from pursuing what she wanted to do between all the family drama, all the waiting, having to start working, all these things starting getting in the way. And in the back of her mind, she's thinking, well, but I have this record deal with Miley, so everything's going to be okay, and I can wait for that. but it never happened. And you're going to hear some of her music at the end of this video, actually. And the story gets even crazier in the interview. So without further ado, here is the, I suppose, interview that I did with Amy. So real quick before the interview, just to give you guys a little bit of clarity on the situation, Amy entered the Miley Cyrus Superstar competition in October of 2008. Over 2 years later, in 2010, she was announced the winner of said competition. A few months after that, she went to LA where she met Miley Cyrus for about an hour and they recorded a cover together. Then over a year after that, they sent her to Nashville, and in Nashville, she wrote and recorded 2 original songs. Then a few months after that, in September of 2011, they sent her a contract, they had her sign it, but they never actually produced a record, allegedly. Enjoy the interview.
They announced that I won, and then it took 2 months. They flew me out to LA for a weekend. They paid for my plane ticket and the hotel, I believe, but everything else was kind of up to us. And then Nashville was probably another 6 or 7 months after that. But every week between that time period, I'm being told, hey, it's going to happen. Hey, we're going to be in contact with you next week. Hey, blah, 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 blah. When I think about when we went to LA, one thing I do remember, which is so funny, because I loved Camp Rock and Demi Lovato, the Jonas Brothers, all of them. I started singing on YouTube, singing Demi Lovato, Camp Rock. And we walked past the Jonas Brothers and Demi Lovato in the LAX airport, which was just like,
oh, whoa.
Like on our, we landed in LAX and walked past them. And I just started laughing. My dad was like, what, where are they? We need to go say hi. I was like, no, we're not going. Honestly, it was a very strange trip. I don't remember if it was 2 days or 3 days, but the bulk of it was the 1 day in the studio, which was probably 2 or 3 hours max. At that point, it was her Rock Mafia producers, I guess. Mm-hmm. So during that time, if you listen to a lot of Miley's stuff, it says like Rock Mafia, and that was her producers at the time. So it was in their studio, and that was really cool. It's like you're seeing all the plaques on the walls, and it's Hilary Duff and the Jonas Brothers and Hannah Montana, all of that. But yeah, it was weird. I don't know. They gave me a couple different songs that I could pick to sing. So, and I could send you the link. I don't know if you found it, but it was a Miley song that I recorded that day.
I did see that. It actually sounded really good, actually.
Nice. She did ad-libs in the background, which was really cool.
Oh, but, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I didn't know.
Yeah. You can really only hear her maybe in like the bridge or something, but they gave me a couple different songs. I remember one was Allie and AJ. It was like Allie and AJ, Vanessa Hudgens. There was a Miley song. So I guess it was just stuff that they had produced and had the rights for, so that it was something that I could sing. Mm-hmm. So that was why that song was picked, because there was just random songs that were, hey, you could sing one of these songs. So pick that song, and it was pretty fast. I mean, honestly, they just had me in there, recorded my vocals. Miley literally sang her ad-libs in probably less than a minute. I mean, she sounded amazing. She just went in there and was like, okay, that's good. But yeah, I mean, it was just crazy. We took photos. She showed the Can't Be Tamed music video to all of us that were in there. It was just my dad and I on that trip. Yeah. And then this part is so bizarre. So I guess this guy, his name was Allison. I do remember that. I have photos of us all together. He was her paparazzi, but it was like this special paparazzi that I guess he used to be like a paparazzi that would follow her around, and he must have just been one of the nice ones. So they ended up just having him work for them. So he was still their paparazzi and would follow her around, but it was just like for now potentially Mileyworld content or just behind the scenes content. So he was the one that was driving us around LA. So he was from a different country. I don't remember which country he was from. I remember he just kept talking about like, he just wanted to make his money so that he could go back home and like buy a nice house. And he was just here to make this money. And he just drove my dad and I around to like, this is the Jonas Brothers house. This is where Hilary Duff lives. This is where Ashley Tisdale lives. He was the craziest driver I could ever even imagine. That's the one thing I vividly remember being like, are we going to die? Like, this guy. God. But
So he just basically touristed us around. So just like drove us to all these random houses. I remember he called, I think it was Miley's mom, and was like, hey, can we give her a house tour? Like, I got the girl from the contest here. Can we give her a house tour? And I was just sitting in the back seat like, it was so strange.
Yeah.
And it all seemed very last minute. Like, they just had no plan. And it was just like, hey, this girl's here. Let's see what we can do for her. So no house tour. So that's when he started just driving me around and like showing me houses. Which I'm like, cool, but like, what? This is weird.
Yeah.
And then I remember he drove us to Venice Beach, and it was just like, because he's a paparazzi, he's just like fast paced. And okay, here, take a picture. This is a tourist spot, blah, 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 blah. And then dropped us off at the hotel, and that was it. So it was really only one day or like one afternoon actually doing anything. I think it was only 2 days being there, because then it was like, okay, time to go. There was no dinners or breakfasts or anything. It was just that portion of the day.
When you were okay, so that, and even that doesn't have anything to do with a record deal. I mean, that's not like a recording an album or anything. It almost has nothing to do with recording an album, unless the album is cover songs.
Right.
Yeah. So that's kind of interesting.
That's what, it's so funny. I mean, even just hearing your perspective and what you're finding, and just looking up and seeing the different language of how the contest started, and it's like, oh, it said this at one point, and then this, and then this. Again, we just weren't questioning it. It was just something that was this big, amazing potential, and we weren't thinking to stop and question, hey, especially because all they were telling us at that point was, it's going to happen. They weren't telling us what was going to happen, but they were just saying someone will be in contact with you next week.
We're going to talk about Nashville, I think, next, but you're talking about this, like the waiting in between. How long were you waiting in that?
It was about a year from when I went to LA that nothing happened until they were like scrambling and put together this Nashville trip.
So you get to LA or Nashville, and what happens like if that you can remember like day to day? Like
Nashville trip was a little longer. It was either probably 3 or 4 days. So this was a much better overall experience. Like I said, we still had to pay for most of our stuff, which was very stressful for my family at the time. But we had 2 guys. One was named John Mabe. He wrote The Climb by Miley, or for Miley. And then the other guy, I could find his name in an email, but I don't remember. He had a pretty much basement studio, and he wrote on a bunch of stuff for Rascal Flatts and just a bunch of country artists. So these guys were really nice. They were really nice guys. I mean, it was a polarizing, complete opposite experience compared to the paparazzi driving me around. John was so sweet to my mom and I. So we ended up going to this other guy's house, and that was where we wrote and recorded the 2 songs. So it was split over, I guess, 2 days. I think one night they took us out to dinner, and then that was pretty much
Wait, did you write the song? You wrote the songs with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you only had like a day each to write them?
Yep.
Okay. I mean, that's not, I mean, I guess it is kind of a cool experience, but it's still not, what they only gave you like a day to write but did you know when you're going there what it was going to be?
No, I never knew. I mean, at that point, I had a preference of Nashville. I loved Nashville. So I was just excited to go down to Nashville compared to LA, I think, but we never knew what was happening. I think they probably told us, hey, you're going to get to write with John Mabe. He wrote The Climb, but that was all that we were told, because I honestly think they were just making it up as they went. It wasn't, there was no planning to any of it.
So, but Miley wasn't in the Nashville thing, right?
No, not at all.
Okay. So she was there for that 1 hour in LA?
Yeah, she was there for the 1 hour. And again, that was in May of 2010. So now this is in June of 2011. So it's
over a year later.
Wait,
what? So what are they telling you the whole time, like in between?
We'll have someone contact you next week. I promise it's going to happen. There was this one guy that would always say, I promise, we're working on things. We're getting things going. Because I would either text him or my mom would email him, my dad would email him, and we only had one contact. So it wasn't like there were all these people we could contact. And I think that was just what made it all the harder, because they're telling us it's going to happen. We're obviously not seeing anything happening, but then just how much time is passing in between. And then the other hard part during that time is I was being contacted by different people. So at one point, Jesse McCartney's manager, her name was Sherry Condor. She was the daughter of Carole King, which is insane. She wanted to manage me, and I kept getting these different requests from different places, but I kept having to tell them all no, because
no way. Sorry, that's probably one of the worst parts, actually.
Yeah, it was. It was just crazy, because then it was my whole life was on hold. I didn't go to college because I'm like, okay, well, this is gonna happen, and then just with my family, and my family was already in like a tumultuous situation with finances and just my parents ending a marriage and all that stuff. So there was just so much else happening personally in the house compared to this potential thing that was going to happen.
Yeah.
That's probably my biggest regret, not continuing to upload. But I think just also every time I would upload, every question I would get would be, hey, whatever happened with that contest? So then I just started to think, I don't know how to answer this question because I have no idea what happened.
Yeah, and you don't really want to be shady publicly either.
Right. So
yeah, and that stuff does get annoying because, like, if you're trying to film something, in the back of your head, you have those thoughts as well of like, I'm letting, like, you almost feel like you're either letting someone down or like it's just something feels weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's,
and honestly, I credited so much of the contest and even just me winning to my YouTube channel because I had all those subscribers. I mean, I started on YouTube in 2008, and throughout the contest and just my posting on YouTube, I had all these subscribers and all these people that were voting. So then I just felt so like it was unfair for me to not let them in on what was going on, but I didn't know what I could talk about. I didn't know really what was going on because I'm getting these shady emails once every other week saying, hey, it's going to happen. And that's it. So it just became harder and harder, I think, to face it because I didn't know how to talk about it. In that time, I do remember John Mabe calling me and just saying that they had finished the master for the track and it sounded great. And that was when he said, don't share anything about it yet. I don't even know what their plan was at that point. I think he said he wanted to send it to some different like radio stations or some different people and even see if someone would re-record it. And because that's cool too, to have a writing credit on something. And then I didn't hear from him again. And then I got that contract and that was kind of it. Yeah. I never was able to release them.
What?
Yeah. I don't know. It's crazy. I mean, even my last email from this person, which this must have been a new person that I was told to email my address and get the contract sent, because his last message is, just wanted you to know we received the agreement back. Thank you. So they were calling it an agreement, not a contract even. Mm-hmm. Jason is working on getting a bunch of CDs made, so we will send you them when ready. You may want to send him a recent picture if you want to use one. But then I never heard anything back from them again. So I think they were essentially at this point saying, okay, we're not giving her a record deal, but she recorded this song in LA and then she wrote these 2 songs in Nashville, which I did get to write on these 2 songs, which I really did love those songs. And then they were going to make a 3-track CD and I was going to be able to send them out. Mm-hmm. But that never actually happened.
What? So wait, so they okay, because the thing is, like, at least if they did the 3 tracks and they're recorded and you have them and they're released, then I guess under maybe like a loose definition of the term, maybe that's a record deal because you did produce, but so you don't even know what happened to those songs?
I have them, but yeah. I mean, that was even strange too, because the 2 guys that I was writing with told me not to put them out there because they said they wanted to promo them or they wanted to do this or do that. And I remember a couple months later, I had reached out to them and asked, hey, can I upload these to my YouTube channel? And then I never heard back from them. So they were telling me not to do it. And then the other guy was telling me they were going to send me a CD with them. And then I never heard back after that.
That's crazy.
And I mean, even at that point, I didn't have to sign the contract, you know, but there was just so much mentally, emotionally that it was like, I just wanted it to be done. I think just for me, my family, everything else. And so then too, of course, at that point, it's like I'm working random part-time jobs. I started working at Macy's and a bakery and all this stuff. And I think I was just afraid of facing it because I didn't know how to talk about it or what I was allowed to talk about realistically.
Yeah. I think you also, at least that's how I would feel, is like pressure to comply because you don't want to upset the people, because maybe down the line they have something else or something, you know. I don't know.
It's so crazy to think about. And again, I mean, I'm 28 now, so just to think about me 15, 16, 17, 18 going through this roller coaster of emotions, and then my parents split when I was 19, so it was just like boom 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 boom. It's just crazy to think about. And honestly, I mean, I did share that in the podcast as well. I think I was protected. I think if I would have went out to LA and it was supposed to happen like they claimed it was supposed to happen, I would have been a train wreck.
So what did the contract say? Like, what exactly do you remember, or do you even still have it? Because I'm really curious how they worded it.
Yeah, I don't know if we still have it. I mean, I think we had to mail it back to them.
Yeah.
I remember it being a big stack of papers. I remember the first page specifically saying all the stuff that they did for me. So it was, we flew out to LA, we got to record this song in LA. We flew down to Nashville, you got to record these 2 songs in Nashville. And it probably did say something about what this email I just found was about them packaging CDs and sending them out or promoting them or something, which didn't happen. But, and I honestly even forgot about that until I just read that email. But it was essentially just saying, we gave you all this stuff, sign, agreeing that this was good, this was what was promised, and let's move on.
Wow. Yeah, you never even got the CDs.
I totally forgot about the CDs. Yeah. I mean, that's where my head was too. It was just, I mean, I think too, for me at that point, I just wanted to dive back into YouTube, and I just didn't know how. I didn't know how to face it. It was like, and because I was just telling my husband too, I didn't vlog any of that experience because there was a lot of traumatic stuff, I guess, that was happening as well with my family, but I didn't know what I could talk about or publish or promote. So then it's like, if I'm vlogging about, oh my gosh, I'm in LA or in Nashville right now, I'm recording these songs, I'm so happy about these songs, but then I can't share them with you. So then I just kind of stayed silent until I knew for sure what was going to happen.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's so lame that you never even got the CDs. At least they should send you the CD.
It's so crazy. But I wish I would have just been able to upload them. I think that was my bigger thing. I was thinking, I don't want CDs. I just want to upload these to my channel. I want to share this with the people that voted for me for all those years ago and all of that. Yeah,
what would you even do with CDs?
That's what it's so funny reading that. Because really, what would I have done? Like handed them out on the street corner? And been like, hi, I won this contest.
And I really wonder what the CDs would have even looked like if they were just like burned off of like a Walmart,
especially if, because this email said send a recent photo of yourself, which I'm like, so I would have just had to do all of my own.
Just take a picture of like a selfie, and they'll put that on the album cover.
Like 2011, just what would that have been?
Yeah,
just a mixed tape burned CD.
That's what it sounds like. It just sounds like a mixtape burned CD. With just like a picture of you. Like, what do they mean a recent photo of yourself? Like, not even like an album cover or like...
And at that point, I had, my photo booth, like in my laptop. Like, what was I realistically going to give them? It's crazy. Honestly, the more, I think just throughout the years, there was just so much pain wrapped up in all those years that I tried to bury it, or I would laugh about it so I didn't cry about it. But now when I think about it, I honestly am like, this is crazy that this was me, that this happened to, and that just, it's crazy.
So I think we can call it here, but we can chat more. So the whole thing is just sad. And the probably the worst part about it is like, she was good. Dude, like she was really good. So she records these songs, she gets this record deal in quotes, and then she's not actually even allowed to release the music. But I did dream that I heard the tracks, and they were so good. They were just as good as anything on the radio at the time. A little bit of polish and more than one day to have written them and recorded them, and she actually really could have been a real star. And it's sad to me because of all the money that the website was earning through its members, right? Millions, in my opinion, millions of dollars this website was making basically from nothing, right? Because there's nothing really on the website. And they couldn't even afford or give her the time of day to give her an actual album. So I hope that you guys will check out Amy's channel, Amy Maggio on YouTube. There's also going to be a link down in the description. But anyway, she did write a song about this, and she's given me permission to play it for you guys. So the outro of this video is going to be a cheesy little montage with a song that she wrote about it, her experience. I think she wrote the song about 2 years ago. So it's really good.
Hi, I'm going to sing This Is Me by Demi Lovato from Camp Rock. So tell me what you think.
Sometimes I can't believe all of the days. Sometimes I can't believe all of the time. All those moments I spent chasing the dream. Oh, to just let it pass me by. If I could go back to the old me before those breaks in her heart. If I could just tell her one thing, Miss 17, you gotta live. It's gonna hurt. You gotta make mistakes, some things you really won't be so proud of. And there will be pain. With pain comes some scars. But looking back on all these years, all the dreams, the hopes, the fears, you